Hey everybody, welcome back to the Damn Podcast. I am Matt Monty. As always, I am joined by Austin Real and David Dietrich. I am super excited to bring the podcast back. It's been a little bit. In the meantime, I moved across the country. Just kidding, about an hour away. So it's been a lot to do for me. Just kind of busy with schedules. Real had some family stuff going on. We just took a little bit of break. Good timing for it. You know, we got to give the vocal cords a little rest and all that jazz. But we're back and we're ready. I think we're pretty pumped up. I know we've talked for probably about 20 minutes in here just beforehand in the show, talking about getting us started back in the swing of things. So
Yeah.
I first go ahead, David. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was talking to Matthew I think yesterday about, the season. It's kind of a long season, 14 weeks overall, and like you really do have to put time into the game to do well. So there's just a natural up and down of the season, kinda. And I feel like it was kind of like right maybe the week before, maybe the week before that, we were kind of in that down, like not as much traction and things like that. And then we got to talking before the podcast and hear a little bit about the season. Now I feel like I'm ready to put in some laps again.
Juiced up. How about you, Real? You juiced up for this week?
Oh, I'm traveling right now for work, so I should be more juiced up. But I will be running laps all night tomorrow, so
My
I'm juiced
dude
up for
says,
that.
my dude says, don't worry, guys. I'm traveling for work, but I packed all my shit so I can race.
Yeah,
That is dedication. And so
dedication.
I
someone,
literally
geez,
did. I had
yeah.
to carry my wheelbase and all that shit into this freaking hotel room and everything. I didn't care. We're ready
I
to go.
love, I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. They definitely think you're a legit fucking driver. You should have just walked in with the wheel. You know what I mean? Like in
100%,
hand,
dude. Own
gloves
it.
on.
No,
Own it.
I was carrying it and someone stopped me and I said, "Don't worry, I'm a professional." And
My
no
man
questions were
played
asked.
it perfect. Very good. Well, I wanted to start off the pod by congratulating Richard Simpkins on his first ever race victory. Well earned. Obviously, he's been racing with us for quite a while, and yeah, we always talk about this. Like, there's a dozen or more drivers that could win a race at any time. If you told me Richard had never won a race before, I'd have thought you were insane. So again, well earned by him. I'm not surprised that he won a race, but I am surprised that his first race win was last week. It's pretty wild to me, guys.
Pretty great timing too, with the standings being as close as they are.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, just talking about the standings here, we're gonna deep dive into these this week as we kind of discussed. It's a great time to jump back in and kind of reassess where we're at as a league. We're over the halfway point. We got about a quarter, about we're close to three
What do we
quarters
got?
of the way done,
5 races
right?
left, is that right?
Yeah, we have 5 races left, so we're moving along at a pretty good clip. And you, like something you talked about, David, that's funny is even like the real F1 guys, like they have 2 weeks in between races
Yeah.
sometimes, and we just rip them week to week. Obviously,
They
we're
don't
not traveling
understand the
across.
life, dude. They don't
Exactly, they could
understand the
never.
grind. They could
They
never.
could never, dude. The fucking NBA guys are pissed about running back-to-back games. Like we run back-to-back weeks of races, brother. Like
It's
don't even
insane.
start.
It's insane.
Well, good. So
How am I not an athlete if they're an athlete? That's all I'm saying.
you're an athlete to me. Okay, you're an athlete to me. So while we do this, I said we're going to do a deep dive into the standings because again, we have a pretty good picture of where things are at, and all three of us look like idiots probably from our preseason predictions. So we get to re-choose is what we're going to do. But first of all, I did want to say on the drivers' standings, David brought up a good point in our pre-pod chat that places 3 through 7th. So that's Barrett, David, Matthew Painter, Pete Norris, and Richard Simpkins. So all those guys are separated by so few points that they are legitimately one race away from each other. So that 25, 26 points, you could be, fortunes could change very quickly. And we've seen that. Again, as Richard shot up the standings, he's up to 83 points, 20 points ahead of Adam Brills with that 25 point performance. And Brills took a 0 last week. So that's huge that the standings are that tight to be shaken up. And the first battle for first place between the Alfa Romeo guys, 5 points separates them. It's just actually insane that we're this far along and it's that tight.
It's crazy. I mean, you're talking about Richard with a huge win, the timing of it. So he gets in front of Brills, and what you're looking at here is from 7th place now after all these races, in 7th place, if he wins again in Spain and he outscores the guys in front of him by enough, which a lot of them are very close to him, he could legitimately be in third place at the end of Spain. Like, that's a very realistic. It's crazy how tight everybody still is.
Yeah, I think even, Spies is in first place at 148, but that, I mean, that's still not unattainable by any stretch. I mean, weirder shit's happened in our league. I'll tell you that. So the driver 2 seat may or may not be safe still. I'm sure Spies is going to defend pretty tight.
We were kind of joking around before the podcast started about how much guys could really move up very fast. And I was looking at this. I didn't even say it because I was like, I know it's ridiculous, but Spies is missing this week, I believe, right? And I don't think, like, yes, Keaton is obviously very good, but like, I think we've seen everybody have those races where you just get like 6 or 7 points. We have 5 races left, and Barrett is 40 points away from first place. Like, it is very possible still, especially with Spies missing this week, that Barrett is very much in the race for the championship, which is insane.
Yep. Another one of those drivers that's capable of winning a race. You have a couple second place and a couple third place finishes. Yep. Obviously quite capable of winning a race just at any time. And I'll tell you that this track to me feels like it feels like a Barrett Powers track, if you will.
I kind of feel the same way, yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird, but like you get like people's driving styles, like how they are, like especially if you've driven around them a bunch, know where they're good. And this feels like a track where Barrett's going to be actually pretty fucking good at. So
I agree with you. The only problem with that is that Keaton's good fucking everywhere.
That is true. And I'm gonna jump around on my little spreadsheet here, but in some other news, Ferrari picks up Francois, and Francois also very fast everywhere. So that is, we'll get to that, but it's going to be cool to watch as the season wraps up. So we'll talk about the standings in a minute, but I wanted to make sure we get Real some time to talk about some interesting stats. He's got a couple different things to chat about. So Real, take us away on a couple things that you got before we do a deep dive here.
Oh God, a couple. I don't know. I might just have one, but we'll see. I'll try to come up with something. But
we gave this guy 3 weeks. He has one stat.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is the first time we're running Spain as a league. So as far as best lap time and all those records, someone's got a chance to put their name in the record book. Which brings up the next point that we've only had 2 races all season where somebody inside the top 10 came away with the best lap time. So it's definitely a point that seems to go, goes to that person outside the top 10, and it makes sense. I mean, I found myself in situations where, your race is chalked, so you just kind of go for it, and those guys have fresh tires that they can switch to at the end. So definitely not really surprised by it, but definitely been the fastest point this season.
I was in 7th place last week after being spun, and I told Hayden several times, it's in my stream, that I was like, I'm in 7th and I know that gets me more points, but I want to pit for soft so bad just to see if I get the fastest lap to set the record. Like, I was like, I kind of rather, like, if I wasn't in such a close race with like a lot of guys really in the standings, I think I would have pit and just taken the 1 point and just like set a fastest time. I think that'd be fucking sick.
That's an awesome team principle strategy. I love that.
Love that. Dude. Fuck yeah.
Love to hear it.
Love that.
We're catching Haas next week. If that's
sure sounds like it. Sure sounds like it.
I'm hearing a lot of criticism from 2 principals behind us in the standings. Why don't you just let these Hornets keep doing what they're doing over here?
Yeah, I did collect the Passy point last week, which was kind of cool for me. Like, it was bittersweet because my race got fucked up at the end on that last restart, which sucked. I didn't have big expectations, but it is cool that Los Toros holds the record for fastest lap in Mexico. I will say that's kind of cool. Me and Real talked about it for a little bit last week.
I definitely loved it seeing my Los Toros teammate get that point, and then on top of that, my current teammate ends up winning a race that he legitimately, like, he didn't think he was going to score points. Let's just put it that way. He really had not put in the time that he normally puts into it. So that being said, he has not practiced Spain yet. So look the fuck out.
Yeah, got it. First place, bet it.
Matt, speaking of, you kind of talked about all the restarts last week in Mexico, and I know we weren't going to spend a lot of time on Mexico, but with all the safety cars we had, do you want to spend a little time just talking about kind of how we've been this season overall this year, and like maybe regards to other seasons, and kind of just what you thought of the issues in Mexico?
Yeah, sure. So I've been thinking about this a lot actually, and we haven't had a lot of safety cars this year, and I think a lot of it is obviously the talent level is much higher than it's ever been on the grid, so that certainly helps. People have learned how to control their cars a little bit better, how to drive around people a little bit better. There's obviously some weird stuff that goes on at times, but I think a lot of it is that. I went into the season thinking we'd have a lot more incidents than we do because of the length of the race, and there's just not a lot of time to make up for mistakes or things that happen to you in the race. But I've been impressed overall with the grid on that. What I will say is when we do have late restarts like that, it is a complete nightmare. Just because like everyone thinks, oh, there's 9 laps left. This is my chance, right? Like I'm on a better tire compound. Like this is my chance to run a hero lap or whatever the case is. People take chances that they normally wouldn't take. So that's kind of how it works. I think I'll be interested to see. I assume we're going back to fulls next year, but I'll be interested to see how fulls go for us next season. If we have those late safety cars because people are pushing too hard on a tire they shouldn't.
We have this week to find out too. We have
5 2 more, right?
We have 5 races left and 2, so we have 2 fulls and 2 50s.
Yeah, we really get to
fulls, 350. Sorry.
Yeah, we really get to figure out like I'm telling you guys what, if you're a rookie or whatever on this podcast, or you've never run a full length, you've never ran a full length race, dude. I'm gonna tell you, these races separate the fucking boys from the men. That's for sure. It is an endurance race. You're
gonna sweat.
You're gonna be hot. You're gonna get motion sickness from being on a controller. Shout out Tyler. You're gonna be like, it's physically demanding. I know that sounds so fucking stupid because I'm sitting in a rig, but it is physically demanding. I just moved,
dude.
We are. I just moved my furniture up from 3 sets of stairs, and I'm very like, my muscles are like fucked up still, and I've been trying to race and like build myself up.
Crew.
Yeah, literally. So I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying here. But we're trying here, and but I'm telling you, it really wears you out. It sounds so stupid, and it's not even just the physical piece; it's the mental piece of. Yeah. And again, with the talent level that we have, I'm so excited to have a teammate this week that speaks in the Discord, because strategy is not everything, but it is magnified big time in these full length races as well. Undercuts huge, overcuts could be huge.
Yeah.
Pitting in the right window or extending, having a teammate to back people up for you or to tell you where they're at and shit like that. Like that is humongous in this race, in these full length races. And I think we're going to see, I think we'll see, a normal amount of safety cars, whatever it is, just because of the design of the track.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be as chaotic as it was last season.
Yeah. I think the big thing from the kind of going back to the safety cars and stuff like that, that you were talking about, I think to your point, the grid is better. And we've kind of said that a lot this year, but I think specifically what I've noticed is the grid is much deeper than it has been. Because I mean, look, we still have guys that need to learn how to drive. Like, you know what I mean? There's still guys that need to continue to get comfortable around each other, and they know that. And, it's just something you have to go through because we have brand new people. But I would say up until this season, I mean, last season was pretty good. And even last season, I would say maybe we were 10 deep at like talented guys. And then you count the fact that like Rish couldn't make any races. So it's like, really, it's 9. And this year it's like, I mean, I'm not looking at a list or anything, but like, I mean, I would say that we have at least 15 to 16 guys that I would be like, he can really drive. He knows how to drive around people. Like we have 15, 16, somewhere in there guys that is like, I'm confident that this guy's not going to cause a bunch of fucking safety cars or anything like that. And the other ones are learning. So it's like, I think the depth is really what we have there. And then going to fulls like you were talking about. I'm really excited to see. We always talk about testing these things out. And in the off season, everybody wants to take a break, which is very understandable. So then we can't test things out. This will be a good way, and this is kind of why we designed the schedule this way this year. This will be a good way to test out fulls. Again, 2 out of the last 5 races are fulls. So we'll get to see like how we do in those, how we like them, what is different. Do we get those late safety cars again? And then what really stinks about this and why we get put in a tough spot immediately again is the next schedule that is going to come out is going to be on the new game. So it may be a whole different ball game as far as what you run into with fulls or 50s, or if they put out 70% races. So I guess just I think we need to test it, see how it goes, and then the biggest thing is going to be waiting for the new game and seeing what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Real, how you feel about fulls and specifically, I guess, Spain on a full race?
Oh, I mean, I'm looking forward to it just because I think last week, because of all the safety cars, kind of gave you the first taste of being able to come back from a race if it doesn't go your way early on. And I guess that's the thing I've always liked about fulls is you can have, some unlucky things happen early on, and you can figure out a way to battle back. There's enough time to strategize and battle back. So I'm looking forward to that part of it.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just, I think that last week the track is kind of at fault for some of the safety cars, but I also think people were a little less prepared than they've been for most races for whatever reason. Just seemed that way in the chat. So hopefully that's not the case in this next one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was kind of against fulls a little bit after last season just because of time reasons, but to be honest, it's just better racing, more fun, and more strategy behind it. That just adds something to it that you just can't get with the current length it's at now. So hopefully that's a change or something that people want to get on board with because I think it's more fun. But
yeah, we
sure,
talked.
Go ahead, David.
We talk about you made a great point, Matt, about the fulls really does kind of separate the men from the boys as far as just like you have to have that focus, like you can't be a one lap guy and things like that. But full length races for a full season, I mean, you talk about the ups and downs of this season and when you kind of just need a week off and you kind of like, hey, I'm kind of good here, so I'm going to phone it in because it's just been a grind. Dude, when it's fulls, it's like it's a grind. Like we need a long off season when we do fulls because it's like 14 weeks of fulls. If you actually want to practice and compete, it's the most fun you will have, but it's also like I promise you won't play the game once the season's over too much.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out. Real made a great point about. He said last week was the first race that felt like after like a disaster you could really come back in, and I couldn't agree more. It was with the later safety cars and everyone getting brought back together, like that kind of stuff happens in fulls, or people make weird pit stops, whatever it is. There's always like something. So I agree with you that had the feel. Last week had the feel of a full because there was a little bit different strategies going on. People were on. I think Tyler might have said it's like everyone's on like different setup strategies and then tire strategies, and that's true. Like that is a big deal about the full length races as well. God damn it, I had another good point about the full length races, but now I can't remember what it was. But anyways, it's going to be a good time. I think Spain is a good choice for a track like that. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So we always do like the fastest lap thing. It changes like I don't know, 2 or 3 times during the race, right? It's usually like the second lap is always the fastest lap until it's not, right? That's kind of what it feels like. It's always like the second lap is the fastest, and then
it's usually It's usually the second lap of the first stint, the second lap of the second stint, and then anybody who changes late.
Exactly. That's all it ever is, right? And now with people like going to get on softs at a different time, maybe take some risky strategy calls, and fuel levels and mediums at different times and whatever. I think that fastest lap will change hands like a half dozen times in a full length race. And I didn't really pay attention to that last season because I don't know, just not something you pay attention to really. But I think it's going to be something that we'll see change hands a bunch now because again, everybody's capable of ripping fast laps, so that'll be fun.
That's what's really been the best part. I think we knew this fast lap thing going to anybody was going to be a good change, but I think the best part about it has been how much attention it brings to the fastest lap. Because you're exactly right. Like before, it's like who cares who gets it? It's one more point. Like I couldn't tell you ever who gets it. And now every week, I'm like I try to check my leaderboard to see who got it. Like I'm always curious who dropped back, got softs, and went and got the point.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, cool. Well, we talked about Spain quite a bit. I'm glad we did that. So that was kind of at the bottom of my list, but it kind of just jumped up as we talk through the remaining schedule. So that's good. We'll talk about the current standings a little bit more here as we get going. Again, with Spies at 148 sitting a race out opens the door for quite a few people. As far as the constructors, do you guys think that's locked up? What do you guys think?
I think that they have it locked up. I think that I mean again, like you see, like so Brills took 0 last week and it happens, it happens to anybody. You spin, you get, whatever happens. But like it just never happens to Keaton and Spies. And it's like and it's not a knock on Brills at all. Like he's a very good driver. He's 8th right now in the standings in a very, very good grid that we always talk about. But it's just those guys are so good at always finishing that even with Spies taking the week off, I just don't see like McLaren would need to be on the podium, would need a double podium every race left, I think, to even have a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, the one single point kills from last week. That hurts bad. So
Yep.
I agree
Still an amazing growth for them. I mean, what they were like 7th through like the first few weeks of the season or something like that, and now they're like very comfortably in 2nd place.
Yeah, so the shakeup for the midfield, I think the top 2 are probably locked. I don't know. I mean, I think they're pretty locked. But those midfield spots, so I'll say like Haas, Alpine, Aston Martin, McLaren, or not McLaren, excuse me. Aston Martin, Alpine, Haas, and Williams. Real, where do you think who's going to come out on top of those 4 teams?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'm gonna go with Alpine, and I think it's mostly just because I think Barrett's gonna outscore everybody as far as the top scoring guy on each team.
Dude, if Barrett just grinds his ass off and ends up winning this fucking season, his rookie season, top driver 2, Paulie gets the first pick in the draft. All right, keep going. Sorry.
That'd be wild. But as far as Williams goes, I mean, obviously performances like last week from Richard help out big time. I'm due to finally get something better than freaking 9th or 8th at some point. So hopefully that happens in one of the freaking 5 races that we have next. But because I think the double points, if I can come up with a good finish, that helps push us past a team like Haas. But David's also capable of putting together race wins and has been in the mix. Just has had some bad luck. So I'll still say that Williams. I think we're going to hold on to 6th. Might get the 5th, but I'm going to say we're sticking with 6th. Alpine's going to jump Aston Martin, and I think Aston Martin holds it over Haas at the end. So
the 4th.
So pretty much only changes Alpine jumping to 3rd.
They swap spots. Okay. Good.
I'd be happy with that.
You think so? You think you're going to be behind? You think you're going to stay ahead of Williams?
No,
Haas is?
I don't.
Ferrari did.
I don't think we will, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if we can hold our spot in front of Williams, I would be pretty happy. And I think everybody is a lot closer than what we kind of think. Because it's like, dude, Ferrari just picked up Francois. You are fast, and Francois is the fastest 1 lap pace in the league, I think. And so, I mean, like we're just zooming past that so easily. Like every time I would get second place on time trial behind only Francois, I would tell Amanda I was first place on time trial because I was like, there's no reason to even, I'm not even going to touch that other time. Why would we talk about that? That guy just came back and is going to race the next 5 races with you. Like anything could happen from even from there down, in my opinion.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because I think Williams is kind of in a similar position where, like, if you told me that Austin and Richard were 1-2 or like 1-3, both podiumed every race the rest of the season, I'd be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Like, I would believe
Right.
that. I believe, like, if you told me that me and Francois were like first and fourth-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood for every race for the last 5, like, yeah, I could see that happening. So, like, if you think about that, it's like 30 plus points a race.
Yeah.
And for
times
guys who've
5.
struggled like Tyler has this year, like, that puts a lot of pressure on him. And I mean, it puts pressure on Williams as well to continue to perform. I think, I don't know, and you're only 7 points ahead of Williams. So again, like, we could really shake things up. I mean, who knows? I don't know. Again,
If you to put that in perspective, if you guys got, or if any team got 30 points a race, which is win and then 5 points out of your second driver, which is a ton. If you did that for every race for the last 5 races, that's like what,
second place
170
points,
points? It's like
150, right?
170 points altogether.
Yeah. 30 times 5 is 150, but yes, that is
Yeah.
that is correct. Yeah, so 150 is the total points for McLaren for the whole season so far. So I mean, I don't know. Again, we're not going to put any eggs in our baskets here in Ferrari. Like, Francois is probably going to quit next week, just based on how things have gone this season. So I mean, again, who knows? And it's going to be cool. I will say, I was joking around with you, I think, and I was like, oh great, just what this grid needs, one more person who's really fucking fast and really fucking crazy on the track.
we got them. We got plenty of them.
Yeah, really great. So I'll be interested to see, because Francois, if memory serves, didn't really battle with Spies at all, if I'm remembering correctly. Is that true, or am I making shit up here? Because Francois was in season 4. I guess because Spies. Yeah, where was Spies? Was Spies at? Oh, he was on Alpine that year, right? Yeah, Spies was on Alpine. So I don't know. We'll see. Again, who knows? Francois has a tendency to, like, be on the podium or be in the fucking barriers, but that's fine.
This is a barriers track coming up.
It sure as shit is, dude. It's a sketchy one. So that's kind of how I feel about that. I don't know. You could tell me any of those, like, mid teams hook up, and I'd believe you either way. I definitely think that with the addition of Francois, and again, he's a solid dude. I talk to him a lot outside of racing. I was talking to him beforehand, like we would just bullshit after races and stuff, and he'd watch my stream or whatever it was, and he'd be like, oh, like, you could do this, you could do this.
Feet pictures back and forth to each other.
Well, he did have to send the penis picture to make sure it was under 4 inches for Ferrari. But anyways, we talk a lot, so I know he's a solid dude and he's not going anywhere. Like, he will race all 5 of these races. And I think we're gonna catch Mercedes. Almost certainly. It's 12-point difference. That's, I don't know. With Tyler's luck in the season he's had, I'd be stunned if Ferrari doesn't catch Mercedes. And then Williams is far up there. That 25-point boost really is the
Huge.
big one. I mean, that's a shitload of points. But I don't think anything's out of the question for the way the rest of this shakes up. And again, if AlphaTauri, dude, if Rich starts showing up too, who knows where that team goes? You know, they're at 27. They could catch Mercedes. They could catch Williams. You know, who knows? The only real team I'm concerned about is Red Bull, because it seems like Troy is kind of checked out. He's got a lot of stuff going on. And then, I mean, they have a rookie driver and we just added another fast ass dude to the grid. It's going to be tough to scrape for points. I think 27 is just unattainable at this point. 28 technically to get above AlphaTauri, even at this point, if they score 0. I think 28 is just too many points for them to capture. All right, what else we got here?
It's funny when we talk about all these guys that can move up, and like how if they could get on podiums and things like this, they can move up. But then you look up and you see Spies and Keaton at the top, and you're like, bro, I think there's only one podium spot left most of these races for
Yep.
the rest of the season. Like,
Yeah.
we are totally overshadowing the fact that we have the two best drivers that have ever, like, they can dude, we're not doing the honey dick thing. Keaton is laughing right now while listening to this while driving around, and Spies is cracking up in his truck eating some fucking snack because they are going to try to downplay this shit so much. Like, oh, I don't care. 5 fucking points between them with 5 races left on the same team. The two best drivers we've had in the fucking league, and we get to find out who is the better one.
I just want these pussies to race each other. That's all I want.
Fucking race each other. Ferrari does it when they tell them not to in real
Literally.
life. You guys can fucking race each other.
What's up, Real? You had something?
No, I just agree completely. I just feel like this is, I mean, give the people what they want. You know what I mean? We're talking about the two best drivers this league has seen, and now you have a chance to really go after it. Who is the best?
And I'll tell you right now, dude, I'm telling you, when we post this tomorrow, and when Keaton says, oh no, dude, I'm playing so much Destiny right now, and Spies is like, dude, I'm just doing iRacing, and like I show up on Wednesday a half hour before the races. Oh, they fucking practice. There's no way the whole grid is getting faster and they're just staying in front of them. No big deal. Dude, they
just kind of lucked into this chime on the just lucked into it.
Dude, they are fast as fuck, and we're gonna find out who's the best, and they fucking know it.
That is true. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that shakes out. So we talked about the constructors for a little bit, guys. Any final thoughts on constructors before I move into the driver standing stuff? All right. Nothing? All right. If you think of it, we'll do that. But anyways,
no.
The driver standings. So again, Spies is 40 points above Barrett and 5 points above Keaton. With Spies missing a week, it's going to put some pressure on him to continue to maintain. And obviously, Keaton's may or may not be feeling the pressure to grab 6 points at least to jump above him. But anyways, that middle pack is what I kind of want to talk about again. So Barrett is 108, David 104. Painter is only 9 points behind you. You got Pete, who's 17 points behind you. And then Richard's 4 points behind Pete. And Brills isn't far out, 20 points back. And then Tyler again is at 51. So that's what I consider like the mid pack. Tyler and I are probably toward the bottom of the 10. But that mid pack, man, again, that's a thing you could shake all those names up in a hat, hand it to me, I could draw them out, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about where people are going to start. You think Barrett's going to hold the 3rd spot?
I think Barrett has a chance to win.
Wow. He needs 40 points to catch Spies.
Spies is already out a week.
Yeah.
I mean
if he wins next week and Spies isn't there, then that cuts the deficit pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
Gives him a shot.
Yeah. If he were to win this week, he'd be 15 points back with just this podium finish. And again, with 5 races left. And Spies really likes to hit you, David, on the track, I've noticed. So that kind of thing, if it goes a different kind of way and Spies can't finish a race, that's huge. Huge stuff.
Am I being told I need to take somebody out?
I mean, you never know. And again, the other thing too is the person who's not on this fucking chart is Francois. And to me, he's just as fast as those top 3 guys are. And so you're going to have another person. Maybe those motherfuckers at the top 2 just weren't battling each other hard enough. But Francois is not scared, dude. I told him, I said, I don't give a fuck if you're in the rocks or if you're in first place, whichever one. I really don't care. But you got to race these guys. It's like the same thing with Max. Look at him. The car fucking blew up when he tried to push the gas pedal last week.
So this is pretty cool about Francois. I was just looking at this because we were talking about how fast he can be and how well he can do, but then at the same time, how he can spin out and not finish a race here and there and things like this. So he's only ran 1 season with us, and he over a 5 race span, so 5 races straight. At one point, he put together 76 points. And in another 5 race span, he put together 18 points. So that shows the difference of it could go either way. Like you have no idea. Now, in one case, he has 2 DNFs. He couldn't make the last 2 races of the season just because of when he moved, and the only other race left is second place. So that's still pretty damn good. It just shows you how high or how low it could be, and then also the fact that you can put together 76 points in these final 5 races. It's definitely doable.
This dude's gonna win 2 of the last 5 races. I'm just gonna fucking say it, dude. He's in the Scarlet Red, aerodynamic. We got him with the best barbers in town. We got him with the best nutritionists in the fucking world. He's going to be in the best looking car on the grid. There's no way he doesn't win 2 of the last 5 races. I'll say it now. I'll say it now. And I know that Williams is fucking sweating back there.
Oh, this is a good time to bring up. We should talk about the fact that Francois will automatically be a free agent at the end of the season.
That's true. That is true. But Williams is sweating. I heard him talking over there.
Yeah, I mean, we got ourselves a nice lead, but I mean, the addition of Francois did not help me sleep at night one bit. We're definitely a little bit nervous, but we're just hoping we get the Francois that
scores 18 over 5.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. So.
No doubt. All right, cool. So we talked about the standings quite a bit. Anything else, guys, on the drivers or the constructors before we move along?
I don't think so. Keep an eye out for anybody in the middle. That's all I'll say.
All right, so I'm going to put everybody on the spot real quick. So we kind of did it, but so mid-season predictions. So if you had to pick one, David, you kind of said yours already, so I'll put you on the spot. So drivers and constructors champion, who are they? Go.
So I'm going to get bold and take Barrett for my driver, and then for my constructor, I think Alfa Romeo has it.
Okay. Real? Any differences there?
Sticking with Alfa Romeo to win. I'm going to take Keaton to win the drivers.
All right. I think Alfa Romeo is a consensus. That one's a pretty easy layup. And I'm going to take Spies, actually. I think Spies is going to tighten up in the last 4 races, which he has. Keaton is very likely to surpass him this week. But I think Spies is going to hang on. He's just him and Keaton are wired in like that same way where it's like, I just show up on blah, blah, blah. But once like Spies sees Keaton jump him in the standings and Barrett put a fucking 25er on the board this week, he's like, dude, I'm not going to lose this driver's trophy. There's no way.
Whoever wins this championship under their nickname in the Discord gets the GOAT emoji after their name, and they have to leave it on there until the start of next season.
Okay. All right. We're in. Good. All right. Let's talk about mid-season predictions. We talked about that. I wanted to kind of talk about, I'm going to bring up the standings again. I wanted to talk a little bit, and you just brought it up, about Francois being a free agent at the end of the year. We've had some discussion, I think maybe just internally between the 3 of us, of like, if you sign a free agent, like being able to have the right to re-sign them and blah, 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 blah. And I know we did that. And guys, full transparency, I was doing that like months before Francois was on my team. And you guys can attest to that. But obviously we're not going to do that, especially now, because that would just be crazy. Yeah. But I thought it might be a cool idea, but I the more I think about it, the more I'm off of it. But anyways, we're going to talk a little bit about opt-outs and the draft order. I'm just going to go down the teams in order, guys, okay? So I'm going to make you both answer these back to back. So I'll start with Real for all of them, and then David, you get to follow them up, and then I'll put in my 2 pennies afterwards. So I want you guys to tell me if the driver 2 either opts out or stays. Okay.
And just so everybody knows, because I know I've personally had a lot of DMs about how exactly the off season works. At the end of the season, a few different things happen, but at this step, any driver 2, so any driver that's not a team principal, if you want to leave the team you're on and become a free agent to get picked up by somebody else, you can do that. So any driver 2 that doesn't like their principal, they can just become a free agent. So we're just talking about if they'll stay on their team or if they'll become a free agent.
Awesome. Okay, thanks for clearing that up too. So Real, I'm going to start with you, of course. And for the sake of this, I think we're just going to say that Spies wins driver 2. So I'm going to leave. That one's going to be easy. Is that cool to do? You guys think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Spies is out because he's top driver 2, and then we'll just assume that he's going to take over Red Bull Racing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to write that down. I'm just writing it down so we can have a little discussion afterwards. So Spies takes over Red Bull Racing. Okay. Pete Norris and Adam Brills. Do you think Pete opts out?
No, I think they
Whoa,
love.
whoa, wait your turn.
Currently,
Jesus.
My bad. I'm looking at the
unbelievable.
standings.
Like an amateur hour.
Real, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had the prediction that Peter would opt out a few weeks back, but I think they like what they have going there, and
Yeah.
I think he's going to end up staying at McLaren. And given, I think he wants a chance to run it back with his Canadian buddies. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think they'll stay.
David?
Yeah, I think that they just are a super good match. They really both like what they got going on. So I think they're a lot like the real McLaren team. Like I think that they're just a good match, and there's no reason to break it up.
Okay, good. Doug O'Brien. Doug O'Brien in Aston Martin. Austin, what do you think?
100%. He is going to be out of there. There's no way he's returning to that team.
Okay. David?
Yeah, I think Shefty's going to be tweeting this anytime now. We've been talking about it all season, so yeah, I think everybody's just excited to see where Doug goes.
Okay. How about Barrett? What are we thinking about Barrett, Austin?
I don't think so. I think the relationship with Paul is a good one on a friendly level, and I think he is enjoying it. I could see Paul make a strong offer for Williams, so be on the lookout for that. But other than that, I think they stay as teammates.
David?
I actually think that this could be a trade. I think there's going to be trade offers, but I think he stays. I think there's going to be trade offers, but I think they're going to want to stay together.
Okay. I'm sorry. I forgot to do this. I wanted to interject on the Aston Martin piece. Here's what I think, guys. And this, I meant to preface this beforehand, right? So you have to assume that Spies and Keaton are going to be separated this year. So that really opens up the constructors once again, hypothetically, right?
Yes.
I am going to say, and we'll use this, but anyways, I'm going to say that Doug sticks around because Aston Martin wants to reclaim their former glory. I don't know. I just have a feeling that may or may not happen. Who knows? So that's that. All right. Anyway, so we went to the Barrett. So Hayden, this is a funny one. I forgot it's going to be funny because we have teammates, but Real, what do you think about how do you think about Hayden gonna opt out?
I think that he doesn't want to, but I think there might be a part of him that's like, let's do David a solid and let him have a chance at this, instead of having David carry this team. So I'm going to say he does end up opting out.
Okay. David, any information?
I think the Hornets are going to be back.
This motherfucker's lying through his teeth. All right. Real, how do you feel? Now I get to put you on the spot for Richard. Richard sticking around or bouncing out?
I think it's going to come down to, I know Richard wants to stay. Him and I have a good relationship, but this would be our second season together. There's zero pressure for him to stay for a third. So if there's a better opportunity for him, I think he'll end up taking it, and I would hope he does.
Okay.
I wouldn't be upset with that at all.
That's cool. David, what do you think about Richard's chances to stay with Williams?
I think it's going to come down to what an offer looks like for him. So I think that just knowing Real, he's a big fantasy football guy, and I know he likes kind of playing that principal role, which is what we want. Like that's exactly what it's there for.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to see what offers are on the table. I think he already has it justified that he's selling his friend off to another team, but really he's just trying to get the highest bidder, and I think he ends up getting traded.
All right. Let's see. We've got Jordan. What do you think about Jordan and Tyler? You think they're sticking it out?
I mean, Jordan seems like he's really into it, and I think he'll only improve. I know Tyler wants to be competing probably higher, but I also think he's kind of taken this season off a little bit. So I think they'll be back as teammates.
Okay. David?
Step by step, what I think is going to happen is that Jordan is going to tell Tyler that he's down to stay as teammate. Tyler is going to tell Jordan, hey, dude, I can't really focus as much as my job. As you can see, I totally suck, blah, 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 blah. If you want to leave to go to another team, you can. And Jordan's going to be like, no, dude, it's fine. But then Painter's going to lose Doug. Painter's going to message Jordan and tell him that he wants him on his team. Jordan's going to opt out. Painter's going to do whatever he can to snag him.
Okay.
Or he'll get traded there.
Okay. I like that. I like it. All right, good. For me, all three of my teammates will be free agent to free agent pool. If anyone would like to pick them up, they're more than welcome to do so. More than welcome to pick any of them up at any time.
He has the Carfax on all of them.
You want their fucking record? I got it, dude. All their shit they need before races, all that stuff, I got it all locked down. So that's that. Mitchell Rishko and Passy. That's a tough one for me. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, we had the tease that Rishko was going to be gone, and then all of a sudden the tease that Rishko's signing. So I think they're having fun with it, and I think he'll be back. I didn't believe the hype that he was going to be gone to begin with, so I think he'll be back with Passy next season.
All right, David, your thoughts?
I think Passy probably looked into what's out there and what's available and what could be doable, just because I think he kind of keeps an eye out for those things and definitely plays the part as well. And then I think he talked to Rish, and I think Rish probably was very happy with what they have going on. So then Passy was happy just to keep him and have that locked up. And they have a cool team. I like it, and I think it's cool if they keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I don't know how Mitch is wired, but I feel like he might feel like he owes Passy like a full season. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just like a thought I have in my mind.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's a fun team. We got like a guy who's in the mid pack and a guy who's in like the upper mid pack. And again, once Rish, if he starts to grind a little bit more, kids get a little bit older, gets a little bit more free time, maybe. He's a threat to win races as well. And Passy's only getting better, so that's a fun team. I agree. And then we'll go to Red Bull Racing. Go ahead.
I love it when Rish is playing. I just love when it's so awesome to see him on the grid. So I was glad he was there last week. But then every time he talks, I just think he's mad at me, and he sounds so mean. And it scares me because he's
that
so
deep voice.
Nice. Dude, it scares me. But he's so nice.
He's such a good dude to have, like you said, on the grid. I'm super happy. And it sounds like Rish is coming to Canada to the Montreal Grand Prix with us too, which is cool. Him and Brills are definitely going to come. It sounds like, which is going to be insane. So that's good. The last team on the list there is Troy and Brett. Obviously, they'll be put into the free agent pool, assuming they are still on the bottom, which is what we're going to assume going on this. So I'll just go over the quick highlights here. So obviously, Spies is gone. He would take over Red Bull Racing. And then you have literally just one opt-out that we all agreed on, which is, well, we didn't even all agree on, but you two agreed that Doug would opt out. I'm not so sure. And then we have Richard and Barrett at 50-50. So it's really not, I mean, it's a shakeup, kind of, but not that bad.
But let's say Jordan goes to.
You want to assume that all those guys opt out?
Well, here we can go with what we predicted. So say Jordan goes to Aston Martin. So Tyler.
So Doug opts out. Yes.
Tyler needs a driver. Yep. Doug opts out.
So do this. Do it in the pick order of the current standings. Then I guess let's do that way, right? So you have an actual pick order.
We will. Yep. Yeah. So Keaton would have the first pick, and Francois would automatically be a free agent as well, along with David Miami, Brett, Troy. Austin, and Francois would be the free agents. Yep.
And if Richard or Barrett, let's just operate that Richard and Barrett both opt out also. Let's do that. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So Keaton would be the first pick, and he has his pick. He's probably gonna pick Francois, right?
I think Francois would be a good one. I actually think what would be a nasty team, and I could kind of see Keaton doing it, is maybe Richard.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too. Yeah, that's interesting. And if Barrett opts out too, like those two are both really highly regarded on the grid. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Francois in there in Keaton's spot just to play the devil's advocate. And then what? Spies picks next, right?
Yeah. So Spies could take Barrett or Richard.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it in standings order. So I assume. What do you think? Really, you got any strong feelings on who he would take in that spot?
I mean, I really don't. Personally, I don't see Barrett going out, and I was just gonna say I think this is more of the reason why I think Doug is gonna be gone is because I think beating Painter after all the shit that's kind of been said, and they probably have a good relationship, or who knows, but I think he does want to beat him, and I think if he's got the opportunity to possibly team up with Keaton or Spies, I just think he's going to opt out to try to take that opportunity because clearly him and Keaton have a good thing.
Oh
going
yeah,
into
dude.
that.
If Doug opts out, Keaton will take Doug. That's who I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
let's do that.
Spees
I'll
takes
remove
Doug
that.
too. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Doug would go to one of those two because they both love him, and he's a perfect teammate for them too. Like, yeah, that's a good match.
Okay, so it's Keaton would take Doug. Spees would have the next available pick. Then you think he's taking Francois?
I like that. Yeah, let's do Francois because
Yeah.
he's talked about pairing up with Francois.
Okay, and then who's next to pick? Painter would be next, right?
Sorry.
Because
Yes.
he'd be without a teammate, so he can't pick Doug obviously because that would have been
Dude,
stupid.
could you imagine if he actually talked Jordan into driving for him and then had Barrett and Richard to choose from?
Oh my God, that'd be tough, right?
He would
What-
trade. He would trade for Jordan, and then he's gonna listen to this podcast and not trade for Jordan. Is what he's gonna do.
There's no way he doesn't. After that shit, that fucking line I have saved where it says I want to race against the best, not the best. There's no way I don't post
can't
that
have
every
him.
fucking 20 minutes if he does that.
Yeah, and actually, Painter actually did say, because we've talked about this a little bit before, but Painter and I were talking about once you do get wins and like stuff like that, it is kind of like it's frustrating to take like fifth and stuff like that. So you do kind of have to take it a little bit easier. He's mentioned about taking on a rookie, and it really does like Jordan a lot. I actually do think even with those choices that he would possibly take Jordan and just want to do that, have fun, and see how good they could do.
He's mentioned it before, and I think Painter's good for it. I think he would totally go for it. So that's funny though.
So yeah, so he's there.
So he's there. And then so Painter would take Jordan, and then the next available spot, yeah, I guess would be Williams. But I mean, if you think about it that way, like we got to have this is good. This is a good exercise because we have to have a date for opt-outs. That way, people can't make their decisions.
There is. So all these things take place over like a week, and they're separate from everything else. So like we'll be like, hey, from Monday to Friday next week, you can opt out, but Friday it's over, and then Monday is when we start the picks. Yeah,
and it needs to be privately messaged, so there's no like. Well, I'm only gonna opt out if this person does, right? We got to make sure we're locked in on that. So,
say the situation does happen and Richard did opt out, but then Richard's also available for me to redraft. Are we saying that
no,
those
you
guys
can
can't be drafted?
You can. The only ones that can't be drafted is Spees and Keaton because they get split because the top two driver. But and just to be clear, so everybody knows, that's not because they're winning the Constructors Championship. It's because Spees would be the top seat 2 driver in the league. That's why they would split. So Spees would get his own team. That's what you get for winning top seat 2 as you become a principal.
Yeah. So you have Williams is available to choose. So Doug's out.
Richard or Barrett, pretty much.
If Barrett were to opt out, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
God, I think the more I think about it, the more I think I would love if Barrett opted out. It would shake the shit up so much.
What's insane is I truly think everything we said makes sense, but Barrett would be by far the best free agent we mentioned, and it actually makes logical sense that he could drop all the way to Mercedes because
here's the other thing too, though, is Alpine. You got to remember, Paulie's going to have a higher draft spot maybe than Aston Martin does at that point too.
Oh, you're right. It would get back to Alpine after
they'd pick above you. Yeah, they'd pick above you. It'd be crazy if that happened.
Yes.
That pick would be going to Williams if Barrett freaking opts out and Richard opts out. We're making a trade, and I'm becoming Alpine, baby.
That's true. That's true. This motherfucker does want Williams real bad. Yeah, he could taste it.
Trades up and takes Barrett.
That's crazy. So I mean, I guess the only way it would. I mean, I don't even know what I'm going to have left over at that point. We got to start scoring some points here.
Dude, what's crazy is, so even if so to continue with our thing here, so with him being out, Alpine would pick, so it would be Keaton would get Francois, McLaren would stay the same.
Oh, Keaton would get Doug, we said.
Sorry. Keaton would get Doug, McLaren would stay Francois. The same. And then Aston Martin, it would be Matthew and Jordan, and then Alpine would pick. I would assume they would just take Barrett back.
Yeah, that's rough. I don't know. I feel like this is a good exercise, guys. I feel like we should make it so if you opt out, you can't be drafted by the same person
No,
because you
because
opted out for a reason, right?
I my only concern, this is the only reason I say this, is that if somebody opts out and then nobody picks them and it comes back to you and we only have 20 drivers, they would just have to go to that spot.
I think that's fine. We just let that happen, though.
And
I
then
don't know. This is tough.
I feel like the only way to not allow it is if, like in mine and Richard's situation, if Richard would be like, dude, I will not fucking drive for them if he picks me.
Yeah,
again,
and I mean at that
which wouldn't
point, but at
happen,
that
but-
point, like if that, so okay, so say that happens, say Richard opts out, but then he doesn't get picked, and then Austin is the last one, and then Richard's like, I will not drive for him. Then at that point, I think either one, Austin just tries to work out a trade with somebody, or two, that just essentially means, okay, Richard's not racing this year. Like we have an open seat, but he doesn't want to be teammates with the guy, then you're just not going to race this year, and that's fine. Not that Richard would ever do that. We know that, but like, I think that's fine. I think that, like, I just think that if you opt out and then the only place left, like if your guy tries to draft you back again, then you have the option to be like, no, like I really will not drive for him.
That's fine. I think we leave that for the very last play. I don't know.
I think it's still up to the driver too. But then that opens the problem of like, okay, so Keaton okay, so Barrett wins top driver 2. Paul has the first pick. Paul goes, okay, cool. I have first pick. I want to take Francois. And Francois is like, I don't want to fucking drive for him. It's no different. Like, then it's just like, you're just not driving in the league then, like, if you don't want to drive with them.
Yeah, we open up a lot of wormholes. That's something we'll have to parse out. All right, so I'm gonna go back to it. So Keaton takes Doug, Spees takes Francois, Painter takes Jordan, Alpine takes.
Well,
You think? I don't know, man. That's just tough.
If he could take Barrett, he would take Barrett. If he can't take Barrett, then
He'd have to take Richard, right?
Would take Richard.
And then Williams would probably take Barrett. I'm not going to speak for Austin, but I think that's probably pretty straightforward.
Tyler,
Imagine Barrett being the fucking 5th person picked.
That's what I'm saying. That's insane.
All right, we got to score some points at Ferrari because we need to pick, dude. Holy
every time
shit.
we go through this, I'm thinking of how to tell Hayden he needs to spend some more time on MLB The Show.
Exactly.
Dude, take a season off, my boy.
And I don't know. Again, Ferrari is the the 6th person to draft there at this point, and that's fine. We'll figure something out. I mean, we tried this year.
Tyler, you have Mercedes before you too in that case, because if Jordan
goes, yeah, huh. All right. Anyways, a lot to think about. Maybe we'll draft up some funny little graphics of shit like that. It might be funny to see some people with some different uniforms. But cool. Well, that was good. We talked a lot about that. I didn't think we would, but we sure fucking did. And it's good for people to hear the structure and things like that, and kind of how we play through it and all that good stuff. So that's good. You guys have anything else? We're about almost an hour now. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I'm good.
Good. Really got anything?
Nope.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought your wheel to the hotel on fucking Nasura Dominance. Put that shit on there, and that's so sick. You should do it. You should race in like their office, the little office that they have built in, and just be like, the people walk in trying to print something, be like, "Do you need something?"
Gloves on, dialed in.
Literally,
I might just do that.
Fucking stinking it up in their office. That's awesome, dude.
That's what Foles does to people, dude.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, cool. I had a blast. I'm glad we're back. I'm glad I'm moved in and we're going to be stable again. I'm glad we're going to a full length race. Remember, guys, it is one shot qualifying for this race as well. I don't know if we touched on that over the last hour. I can't remember. But at any rate, we do have one shot quali, a full length Spain, a lot of grid shakeups coming, a lot of cool off-season stuff coming. I'm super juiced. Guys, thanks as always. We're going to wrap it up, and we'll see you guys. I mean, it'll be Tuesday by the time you listen to this. We're just one day away. So we'll see everybody in Spain, as I've been calling it. Peace.